fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I'll be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Didn't even get to cross. I said I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I'd be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get to glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We on, hating because you want. Shining like it's neon. Rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shoot, shoot. Yeah, shoot, shoot. Yeah, shooting, shooting. Yeah, shooting, shot. Shooting stars, shooting stars, shooting stars, shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away? Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away?
What's happening, everyone? Welcome to this Friday 5 p.m. show. Once again, Matt and I, or Stel and Matt and Stel, any which way you want to put it. Great to have you all here. Thanks for joining us again. We're going to have a really good chat today. Despite Spurs not playing, there's still a number of things that have come up this week for us to discuss. Plus, we want to look forward to tomorrow's match against Crystal Palace and the Premier League in general. But before we get cracking on, Matt, how are you doing, brother?
Yeah. Hi, Stel. Yeah, really good. Thank you. Feels like it's pre-season. Feels like the first game of pre-season with that 2-week break. So, yeah, really good. Looking forward to picking the bones out of tomorrow's game and hopefully get back to winning ways.
Beg your pardon. Absolutely. We need to win as well. We're going to get into that game and the importance of it and look at the league table as well. Because a lot happened on the weekend that we didn't play that's actually impacted us now. So plenty to discuss. But quickly, let's say hello to everyone in the chat. Tony, big up, my man. Hope you're doing well. Disabled team. Gutted you didn't get something from that Chelsea game. Massive Leeds United fans, the disabled team. They deserve something as well, Leeds. So pretty gutted. Jason, big up. Huddersfield Town in the house. How you doing? CMO Sports. You can catch me on Connor's channel at 8 p.m. tonight. I'll put a link in the comment section later on. Lee, big up. Hope you're doing well. JJ, what's happening? One of our own, Lee, big up. Sammy and the boys, how you doing? Double D, hope you're doing well. Benjamin in the house. Scott's in the house. Siraj, hello. He says, Stel, Matt, hello. So, good to have everyone there. Everyone with us. Like, subscribe, follow the channel. So, Matt, I never got a chance to ask you about this. I don't want to talk about it much. I just want to briefly touch upon it because I never got to hear what you think. But the blue £1 billion bottle jobs, Gary Neville absolutely roasting Chelsea on the weekend. This man, I feel so sorry for him. And that 6 domestic finals in a row Chelsea have lost. True bottle job history in the making. Matt, what's your take on it all? Were they bottle jobs or did they do enough to win it in the first 90 minutes? The players weren't good enough. What's your assessment, briefly?
Yeah, so for me, I thought it's been their Achilles heel all season, taking chances. I think Nicholas Jackson, I think him and Calvert-Lewin have the highest percentage of missed chances in the Premier League this season. So not just aiming this at Nicholas Jackson because the boy that we're linked with, Gallagher, he missed 1 or 2 relatively easy chances. So I think when I first saw the stat that they'd lost the last 6 finals, I thought that was us. I thought they were talking about Tottenham for a moment, but really, what's the word? I'm not saying surprising because I think before the game, I thought Liverpool could edge it. And then I heard the news just before the kickoff of how many players were out injured. I thought that brought Chelsea back into the game. But they just did not. They were naive as a playing squad and naive as a manager. And I thought that extra time just seemed to just take all the momentum out of Chelsea's game. And then there was one winner. So in a nutshell, Gary Neville obviously must have got some backlash from the Chelsea, FC. But massive statement and a surprise, but not a surprise that they lost it.
Were you surprised, though, given that most of that Liverpool team ended up being a bunch of kids? Did that not surprise you, at least that part of the game, that they still couldn't get over the line?
Yeah, I mean, look, as the game went on and is it Gravenberch? He got injured after about 25 minutes, so he limped off. Yeah, he limped off after about 25 minutes and had to kind of change the kind of system a little bit, bring Gomez in. So there was a total upheaval of playing system and personnel. And there was just a nervousness. Chelsea played like they hadn't won in 5 or 6 finals. They played like it the longer the game went on. And when you don't take chances, still, you open the door. You open the back door for the other team to come back into the game. Had Chelsea took half of their chances, they should have won that game. And what a great advert for some of the youngsters. What a great advert for them now to kind of get some real belief that they can play for Liverpool and contribute in big football matches. So when you look at it in the full context, how many either Liverpool debuts or players that have played very few minutes for Liverpool came on and did not look out of sync at all. So it just looks a little bit more embarrassing for Chelsea because obviously they had most of their big hitters out there. But it doesn't look good for Poch and Chelsea.
I thought Chelsea were unlucky, if I'm honest with you, because, not Chelsea unlucky. I thought Poch is unlucky to be getting the heat he's getting. I went through the whole game. I watched it back because I do a show Monday on Side TV, big up Side TV. And I knew I was going to go on a show with an Arsenal fan, a United fan, and a Man City fan, and you name it. So I wanted to know what I was talking about. So I watched the game again. The amount of guilted chances Chelsea created and half chances, it's unforgivable to not finish any of those. I personally think the players at Chelsea aren't as good as what some people have hyped them up to be. I think they're very expensive, slightly above average, some of them average players. There's only 2 or 3 players from that Chelsea team I'd take at Spurs. Imagine that, a Spurs fan saying, there's only 2 or 3 I'd take from Chelsea.
I'm curious, who were the 2 or 3?
I think Gusto's a good player. I don't think he had the best final, but I think he's a good player. Palmer, without a doubt. Yeah. And believe it or not, I don't think we're necessarily seeing the best out of him, but I've seen enough to know there's a really good player there. Just needs to be in the right environment, and that is Caicedo. I would take Caicedo at Spurs. I think he's, in fact, Nkunku, that's 4. I'd take Nkunku as well. I think they would suit us. The way we play, Palmer, Nkunku, Caicedo's a proper number 6, needs a bit of developing, and Gusto is a backup for the wing backs. Those 4. In fact, the Chelsea goalie's not too bad, but I wouldn't take him over Vicario. So, but they're the 4 I'd take.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Gusto at right back. I think he looks very. He doesn't switch on anything down the side. He doesn't switch on. He's good. He's good if the play's in front of him, but I don't think he's open. Doesn't open his body when the ball's on the other side of the pitch.
Matt, I just think I think he's better defensively than Porro. As defensive duties, I think he's better than Porro. Going forward, no chance. Porro's much better, hands down.
Yeah. I think it was as we commented on the show the week before that either way there was always going to be some reference to Spurs. You know, had Chelsea won and Poch won, we would have got the backlash. If it ends up that Chelsea lose and Poch loses, we're going to get so. Anyway, we were going to get some stickiness. Obviously, you know, you could take the boy out of Tottenham, but you can't take Tottenham out of the man. So that was always coming our way. I think
we said it last week. Last week, you said on this show, it's coming our way, whatever happens, and you called it.
Yeah,
I remember you saying.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I think the my only question mark is the momentum into injury time and extra time. I think that's where the experience showed, and I think even though Liverpool had players making either their debut or very few minutes in the first team, they've still got Klopp. Klopp's been there, got the t-shirt, and he's come out on the winning side in some of the finals. So I think that extra cuteness to go for the juggler, whereas I think Poch and Chelsea were like, maybe we'll take this to penalties. And we know how that ended.
I think extra time is all on Poch. If we just judge the game on extra time, it's all on Poch. You have to call him out. It is what it is. But if we look at the 90 minutes before that, nothing to do with Poch. He set them up to attack, to create goal-scoring opportunities, and they did. The fact they didn't take the chances, that's just down to the players. I just think Chelsea have got a lot of overhyped players. Doesn't matter what manager goes in, he's not going to get a tune out of 60, maybe 70% of those players. They are what they are. But anyway, I don't want to talk about them anymore. What I want to talk about next is this. The London Football Awards were on, and Ange Postecoglou, Manager of the Year, and Vicario, Goalkeeper of the Year. Now, the Arsenal fans are in meltdown because Raya's better than Vicario. How dare Vicario win the award? I've got plenty to say about that. The Ange one, look, I get why he's got it. But what has he done this year that Arteta hasn't? And that's going to be my argument to be balanced here, Matt. Has Ange done a better job than Arteta? I guess you could say yes, because he's come to a new club. He's lost the best player, Harry Kane. He's only had one big transfer window and a small, tiny one in January. So he's only had 6 months at the wheel to get us from 8th into a top 4 race without Kane. Arteta's first 2 years, he couldn't get out of 8th place. So in that respect, if we're judging it on timeframes, Ange 100% deserves it. But Arsenal are in a title race. They are still in the Champions League. And the only competitions we were in, we crashed out at a very early stage. So you could say, well, hold on, Arteta's doing better. It's where are you at with this one, Matt?
Who's the voting panel? Who are the people that make the?
I'll Google it. I'll find out right now.
Because if it's the media, if it's the Writers' Awards, and I can see how and just got it because he's very good in interviews.
Okay, to answer your question, it's an independent judging panel comprising of representatives from football administration, football media, and former players. So it's a mixture of people that work in the background of football, the media, and ex-players. So it's a combination of everyone.
So I can see the media. I can certainly see the media that he is. He's almost got that Poch media darling. You know, they gravitate towards him. You know, even in defeat. Yeah, it's how he words himself, how he carries himself, how he conducts himself. And even when he is giving somebody a telling off, it's kind of, he does it in a charismatic way. Whereas I would imagine people like Arteta, Klopp, they're probably a little bit more obvious when they're telling somebody off. So from a media point of view, I can see why he gets their vote. Moyes is a good shout. Because he's the only one who's won a trophy in the calendar year, if you want to call it. So he's a good shout. But West Ham this season, I know they've picked up in the last game or so, but there was a bit on a torrid spell. So personally, I wouldn't give it Ange. Personally, I don't see how he gets it. But then the argument is, who do you give it to? There's an argument for Arsenal because they're in the title, as what you've just mentioned.
Well, to be fair, Matt, Norman Stanley makes a great point. Richie Welling's Orient manager. He has done a great job. But I guess
he was in the running, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was in the running. Yeah, he was in the running. Yeah, he was mentioned, but no offense to Premier League seems to get the spotlight, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I was about to say it's not as there's more glam if you give it to a Premier League manager. There's more conversation that will circulate on social media. The Vicario one was interesting for me because, again, Raya, he's got the most clean sheets this season compared between the two. He's having a good season. I think what this comes down to, and I would have given it to Vicario. The Ange one, I'm balanced. I can see, someone said in the comments earlier as well, Conte got sacked coming fourth, and Ange is winning it, and we're fifth. So that I can see an argument why Ange maybe should, maybe shouldn't get it. Yeah. But Vicario for me, hands down, right?
100%.
The price tag, no one knew him. But for me, the big thing why Vicario should have got it, and I'm glad he's got it, is this, man. You tell me what you think. I get Raya's doing well. He's having a good season. But the amount of shots, the way we play, that Vicario has to deal with is unbelievable. The high line exposing us at the back. The amount of times he's had to literally make borderline world-class saves so that we don't lose or draw or we lose momentum is unbelievable. And even against Wolves, who we lost to, twice he made massive saves at key moments in the game to at least keep us in it. So I just think he's faced with more pressure as a goalie in terms of what's being thrown at him because of the way we play. And I think that's why he's won it, because it's caught everyone's eyes, because he's always having to make these saves.
Not only that, Stal, but I think, let's be honest, Raya had a really poor start. There was some real question marks over Ramsdale, over Raya. It was only probably Christmas, January, that Raya started to kind of pick up his form. But there were serious question marks over Raya's performances, especially early on. So on top of what you've said, I just think out the two, Vicario's been more consistent. Yes, there's been a couple of question marks over his positioning at corners and has he been bullied off one or two football matches. But, if you look at their body of work over this season, Vicario's been far more consistent. Not just the saves, but he's just been a more consistent goalkeeper, whereas Raya has made quite a few errors. Some of them haven't resulted in a goal, but he's caused errors. He's made a mistake, and luckily someone's come back and cleared it off the line. So for me, I don't even think it's a conversation. I would actually say, when you're talking about if you had to name the top three goalkeepers in the Premier League of this season, for me, it'd be, in any order, before anybody shouts, Martinez at Villa, Alisson at Liverpool, and Vicario. I think those have been the 3 top goalkeepers this season. I don't think Raya's in the conversation. Yes, they've conceded the least amount of goals, but I think that's more to do with a certain Saliba in front of him.
And this is it. Arsenal have got a better structured defence, including the number 6, that have all been injury-free the entire season to protect Raya, whereas we had Van de Ven and Romero and Basuma that got off to a flying start. Then we lost Van de Ven for 2 months. Then Romero suspended in and out of the team. Then Basuma suspended back in and disappeared for AFCON. We haven't had a settled 2 centre-back partnership and a number 6, whereas Arsenal, Rice plays every game, Saliba plays every game, Gabriel plays every game. So I think Arsenal fans are just pissed off because no one loves them. No one gives them any recognition for what they're doing. And it all comes down to one thing, and I repeat, unless they win a trophy, big trophy Arteta, it's just going to carry on for them. Whereas we're still in that honeymoon period. I don't think we're going to get this kind of love next season, though, Matt. I don't think this kind of love is going to come our way next season.
No, I think neutrals, football neutrals, must understand the change. They must understand the change in what Postecoglou has implemented at Tottenham. He's completely changed. He's asking the team to play in a completely different way. That takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of training, and it takes a lot of belief from the individual players to actually say, are you sure? You imagine Ben Davies at 30 years of age is now asked to play inverted with his back, receiving the ball just outside his 18-yard box with his back to goal. He's never been asked to do that before. So that takes a lot of inner faith. And the manager says, look, it's on me. This messes up, it's on me. So that's a lot of faith. So to have the courage of his convictions to ask it, and number 2, to do it, hats off to him.
He has shown a lot of balls to stick to his guns and see it out and see where it takes us. I'll give him that. Whereas other managers have kind of flipped and flopped. So,
even our own fans, as you know, even some of our own fans are now starting to, tiptoe around the subject of, we want Ange out. There you go. So just have the courage to say, look, this is how we're playing. Rain, sleet or snow, this is how we're playing. Off you go.
Listen, I agree. Yeah, you know my thoughts. We've got a super chat here from Dio. Fridays with Matt and Stel has become the flagship show of this channel. This super chat is a long time coming, as I usually watch this late here in California. # leave you out. Deo, first of all, thank you for your super chat. Second of all, can you send me an email, please, to hello@tottenhamway.com. I'm going to be in California in August, so it'll be good maybe if we can meet up, go to a Spurs supporters club. I can do some videos with you, watch a game, because there'll be some games on the weekend I'm there. So please email me. Let me know that it's Deo, and for sure we'll try and do a link up over there in Cali if you're going to be there. Ryan, I can see your question. I'm going to do this at the end because we're doing questions right at the end. So I've saved it. I'll come back to it, okay? So I haven't ignored it. I'm just going to do all the... because we've got questions from YouTube, Twitter, and whatnot that we do at the end, all right? Just so you know.
Yeah.
Matt, this was released last week. Now, this is the estimated financial fair play position going into this summer if we get top 4, right? So this is what spending is allowed before you break the rules. Bear in mind, just because you can spend the amount doesn't mean you've got the amount. This is what you're allowed to spend. Because let's say you're allowed to spend £1 billion. I don't think any club except for Chelsea has got £1 billion to spend in the summer. But as it stands, if Spurs get top 4, we will be allowed to spend £643 million this summer if we want, without breaking the rules.
Or selling a player.
Sorry, Matt, say again.
Or having to sell a player.
What do you mean by selling a player? You've lost me.
So normally you have to sell a player to balance the books. So what that's saying is we can spend 643 million spend without having to sell a player to recruit.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, spot on. So this is money we can spend before selling a player, bringing in club sponsorship, naming rights for the This is what we can spend no matter what.
Yeah.
Man City are next on 450, and then it's Bayern Munich on 400. So we are ahead of Bayern Munich and Man City by 200 million almost. Man United can spend almost 300. Liverpool 160. Arsenal can only spend 103 in the summer before selling players. Real Madrid almost nothing, which is interesting because they've agreed to sign Mbappe for 140 million. Let's see how that works. Newcastle, nothing. PSG, they're in trouble. They're going to have to sell 30 million pounds worth of players. Chelsea are 180 million pounds below the limit, which means if they don't shift 180 million pounds off their books or find 180 million pounds, they are going to get charged and fined because they are in breach of the rules going into the summer, which is why a lot of conversation about Chelsea this summer has been discussed on multiple channels. But Matt, keeping it on Spurs, we're ahead of everyone in world football. The 24-year financial plan has arrived. I'm expecting fireworks this summer, Matt. I mean, if I don't see 200, 250, dare I say 300 million pounds dropped on this team, and I want to see Casados, Netos, I want to see, not Casados, sorry, I want to see Netos, I want to see Jack Grealish, I want to see an elite level centre back, I want to see an elite level striker, I want to see Jimenez, Chiesa, I want to see quality players, Caravascalia. I want to see top quality players come in abundance and we become serious. And I want to see Timo out, Brennan out. I want to see Sessegnon finally sold. We'll get on to him because the poor man's injured again. I do feel sorry for him. I want to see Emerson sold. Matt, there is no excuse, right? There's none. This isn't even close. We have 500 million pounds more financial power before breaching rules than Arsenal. Matt, I'm expecting big things. Otherwise, I tell you now, I will not be on board with this project. I will not be on board with anything this club is telling us. The changes have arrived now. I can't get. I've said on other shows, this summer, I'll tell you whether I'm in or out with this plan. I'm on the fence. And that just further pushes me towards I'm expecting massive things. Matt, how do you see it?
We're certainly not spending 600 million in the summer transfer window. However,
No.
I think I've said to you on the last couple of shows, and I've maintained, we have employed a recruitment team. Their task, their role is to go out in the market and research the players in Postecoglou's image. Their sole task is to go out there and plug the gaps in the squad. So I firmly believe, I've always said this to you, I don't so much get caught up in how much the player costs. I know that to get Chiesa or to get that blue chip player that, you're going to have to spend north of what we normally spend. But I think Van der Ven, Adogis are examples of, if you are smart, if you're swift in your recruitment plans, you can pick up the right players for Tottenham. And that's all I'm interested in. I think sometimes the mistake that some fan bases do, and I include ours in that, is we look at Chelsea and we look at Man City and we look at Liverpool. Some of those player profiles aren't suited to what Ange needs and wants from his players. So I think the whole importance of this summer transfer window is to say, right, where are we short? Probably everyone's going to say everywhere. what I'm being led to believe is these conversations still are happening already. Don't forget that Van der Ven, that deal had started in the January. We'd started conversations with Wolfsburg in the January, so that when we got to the summer, the donkey work, the hard part of that deal had already been agreed, i.e. his personal wages and so on and so on. So I sometimes worry still when we're linked with a player, because history shows that's not the player that we get.
I'm always worried.
Yeah,
I'm always worried.
Yeah. Even though it didn't turn out to be the best of signings, but I like when the Davison Sanchez's come through the door and the Van der Vaarts, because nobody had heard of them. We weren't linked to them at all. And then within 24 hours, 48 hours, they were in a Spurs shirt. So I'm kind of hopeful that some of these players that are now being mentioned are smoke screens. And I'm hopeful that the real targets are already being discussed and the 70% on board already. So to answer your question,
you go on.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, finish.
To answer your question, instead of spending 180 million on 9 or 10 players, let's spend 250 million on 4 players.
Now
I think that's what we need. That's what we need to do now. That's what we need to do. So instead of 15 million on Roden and 10 million on, let's go and spend 25 million and get the player that we need.
So very quickly, super chat here from a user. Stel, would you take Kane back? Would he fit? 100% yes. Matt, yes or no for Kane coming back?
Yes, of course. Of course.
It's a no-brainer, man. It's a no-brainer. For me, I don't want to see players that I've already heard of that aren't anything special. And I'm talking about Brennan Johnson's, Timo Werner's, Richarlison's. I knew who they were before they came to Spurs. I was never impressed. I don't want them near the club. I want them gone. I'm happy if we spend 45 million on a player that maybe I don't know, I haven't heard of, but the manager said, no, this is someone that I really, really want. For example, Van der Ven, Vicario, I've got no issues, none, right? What I don't want to see though, Matt, is we spend 200 million on 4 players. By the way, wasn't it Conte that said every window you should buy 2 or 3 players that are 67? Right. So we're basically saying, can we do what Conte said, the guy that we sacked and we just said, no, you don't know what you're doing. He clearly knew what he was doing. We just didn't want to do what he wanted. I don't want to see us spend £200 million on 4 players, but 50 million is Brennan Johnson, 65 million is Richarlison. I will lose my mind. I want to see us go and spend 80 million on Jack Grealish. I want to see us go and spend 50 million or 60 million on Kvaratskhelia. Go and spend 40 million and buy a really, really good number 6. Go and spend 60 million on Elise or Eze. If we do that, I will not complain one bit, because I know we're buying proven talent, players that change games, players that I'm happy to pay money and go and watch. Because when I see the ball pass to Richarlison and he's got to take a first touch turn and release the wingers and it goes wrong, Matt, I lose my mind, because that's the difference between going 1-0 up and now the team that's being defensive has to open up and then we can exploit them. Or you mess up that chance, they go 1-0 up and then they shut shop and now we're panicking and the football's rubbish. I don't think fans realise, Matt.
Yeah.
When the attack breaks down and we don't take that moment, we're inviting the pressure on us, because the way Ange plays, it's so attacking. It's a little bit relaxed on the defensive side. You've got to make the most of the attacking. So if you don't make the most of it, we saw what happened against Wolves. We saw what nearly happened against Brighton. We saw what nearly happened against Brentford. So I'm with you, Matt. But we've got to sign proven quality. I'm done with these old Ange can find these hidden gems from Bolivia, this unknown player from the deepest leagues of Asia. Just go and buy some quality players for Spurs, man.
So to give you an example, so if you look at Man City, so where normally money's no object, so for every Haaland or for every Grealish, they're sprinkling an Akanji. How much did Akanji cost? Akanji cost 16, 17 million.
Yeah.
At the time, didn't really cause any press, kind of went under the radar. But how effective has he been for Man City? Gets on with his job, unassuming, can play centre-half, can play right-back, can play left-back, can play defensive midfield. Does his job. Look at Liverpool with Endo. 31 years of age, £15 million.
But we've done that with Vicario as well, Matt. We have done that. Vicario,
yeah, so
15 million, brilliant goalkeeper.
So I was just going to say, but the exception with Liverpool is Man City is they'll go and spend 60, 70 million on Alisson. You know, if that's the hole in the team, they go and solve
80 million on Darwin Núñez and 45 million on Jota. And I get it.
Yeah, the guy in midfield, I can't pronounce his name. I think he's Austrian. What's his name? Liverpool midfielder. He's injured at the moment. Dominic what's his surname?
Oh, Szoboszlai.
Yeah. So was he 65 million? He was good money, right?
They paid
a lot of
good
money for
player.
him.
He's a good player. Yeah.
So for every Endo for 15 million, when they identify that's a hole in our team, they don't mess about, and they're similar budget. Well, not even similar. We're above them now in revenue, but Liverpool operates similarly to Spurs. They every now and again sprinkle in an Endo. The left back, the Greek left back who covers for Robertson,
Tsimikas.
12, 13 million, slips under the radar. They were in for Lloyd Kelly. Slips under the radar because for
Matt, but you see what the difference is between Liverpool and us? We do the same thing, but when they spend big, it's a player that's good. When we spend big, it's Richarlison, it's Brennan Johnson, it's Ndombele, it's Davinson Sanchez. It's a waste of money. And then what you get is you get Spurs fans
and we stuck with them.
You see, spending big money doesn't work. Spending big money badly doesn't work.
Which is why I've emphasised. Which is why I've emphasised now, Stel, that we've employed a recruitment team, right? We've got a designated recruitment team that are data driven. They do their research. They spend the whole of this summer and all of the January looking at areas that we need to improve. So I am quietly confident. Click this and let's have this conversation in September. But I'm quietly confident the squad will look far healthier come September. I'm confident. I don't know the money. I can't guess the spend that we will make. It won't be 600 million. But I said to you from the last show that Leafy can't spin out that normal sentence that because we haven't made Champions League and we have to cut our cloth to suit. No. Look at the revenue that we are making. Champions League or not, we are a money train. You've got more than enough money to cover the gaps in the squad. And number three, to play his system, he has to make players. He has to sign players because Ben Davies, Højbjerg, Emerson Royal, the evidence is there. They can't play that system. So we have to change.
I was like you. I was very optimistic and on board after the summer window when I saw how the players began to play pre-season and then the new players that came in, how they integrated. And we went into the season without Kane. I thought, do you know what? This is really good football. This is really enjoyable. It's getting results as well. But where I lost faith, Matt, it wasn't when we got the injuries because I knew, we all said, we are 2 injuries away from Eric Dyer and Chicken Royal. Right? We had more than that. We lost Emerson. We lost, you name it. It just went to pot.
Yeah. Okay. Van de Ven.
the doggy periods, but some of it was self-inflicted as well. Where I began to lose faith, and now it's why I'm on the fence, was in January. This young lad we've signed, I don't care what anyone says to me, it doesn't change things now, right? We don't know whether he's going to be good, bad, we have no idea. I'm not going to look at YouTube videos of him playing in the Swedish league. I'm not interested. I want to see him put on a Spurs shirt. Right, you're up against Declan Rice. You're up against Rodri. You're up against Van Dijk. Let me see what you can do now, because this is what it comes down to. We signed Dragusin, who doesn't play a game, even when we've got injuries to the defence. And we signed Timo Werner. The Timo Werner signing for me, Matt, that's where I said, no. Hold on. You're doing the same mistakes you've made before. You had Kane, you had Son, you had Eriksson, you had Moussa Dembele, you had Toby Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen. Go and add those extra bits. And we signed the Nkudus, the NGs, the Lorientes, the Vincent Janssens. I thought, no, what are you doing? Serge Aurier? No, you're killing it. So when I saw us with this team that we had at the start of the season, I'm thinking, right, this is good. That Vicario looks mustard. Van der Ven, wow. Bissouma, fire. Madison, brilliant. And then I see Timo Werner. Matt, my heart sank, man. Honestly, I don't think fans realise. I honestly felt sick when we signed him. Now, this is why I'm on the fence, Matt. Because if we go into this summer and we sign another Madison level player, another Van der Ven type player, another Bissouma level. Bissouma's got to sort out, by the way. He's not playing well. But let's say prime Bissouma. I'll get excited. But then if we sign another Brennan, another Timo, another Ben Davies, Matt, I'm done. I'm absolutely done.
What?
Can you see
what
my
I will?
logic? No. From? And why a lot of Spurs fans feel similar to what I've just said.
Listen, the Werner signing was underwhelming. You know, there's a reason that we got him. You know, he was gathering dust on the Leipzig bench, wasn't even getting any minutes. So we got him for that reason.
Yeah, but that's not a good reason.
No, listen, I'm with you. But again, I think I'm trying to be as balanced here to say, look, we spent the first week, 10 days of the transfer window and Nusa. Everything was about Nusa. That was a deal. That was happening. And then the moment that didn't happen, I think it was 2 days or 3 days later, Timo was on a private jet and was in London. So I think what Angie's thinking is, look, I haven't got time I don't want this to be another drawn out negotiations and so forth. So I don't think they just handed him Timo as the player. I think there was probably 3 or 4 other players on that list. And the little bits I see about Ange is he likes to make that personal phone call to the individual and get a gauge, like the guy from Barcelona that went to Brighton. Can't remember his name. He's injured at the moment. The Barcelona wonder kid that went to Brighton. He had a personal conversation with him and kind of got the feeling that might be doing you a favour if I come. I'm not sure. So I get the impression that maybe that there were 2 or 3 other players that he potentially was handed that might be an option in January. Timo was one that could be done quickly. Valise got injured. Son's at the Asia Cup. I think he had a very quick window to say yes or no. And I think he looked at it and thought, there's 5 games potentially in January. I get Son back. He's played in the Premier League. I might be able to get a tune out of him. What that tune is, obviously, is questionable. But I might be able to get something out of him. Yeah, let's do it. I just think he thought it that way. Had that have been a obligation that we sign him in the summer, I'd have been more worried. But I cannot. I'll wager a football shirt and you can give it to whichever charity you wish, Stal. If Timo signs permanently in the summer. Clip it here. Football shirt of any choice, and you can select anybody of your members on me. There you go.
Writing this down. I'm writing this down.
Write that down. Yeah.
1st of March. Yeah. You said Timo signs
permanently
equals Spurs shirt for charity. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he signs, I'm shutting down the channel. So
no, I can't see it still.
I will lose. I will lose it. I will lose it if we sign him. I'll absolutely lose it.
I can't see it. I'm honestly, still, I am really, really optimistic in the summer that we will make some equivalents to Vicario, Van der Ven, and Madison in other positions.
Let's get on to the Crystal Palace game, and then we'll do questions from the audience. Right, before we do the game, I just want to talk about a couple of players as well. Matt, look, I'll be honest with you. I never wanted him at Spurs. I know the story behind him when the club scouts, coaches wanted him when he was 10, him and his brother. He chose Fulham because he felt it was a better career progression. And to be fair, it was because he broke into the first team at Fulham. Would he have broken into the first team at Spurs? I don't know. But he hasn't developed the way Spurs wanted him when they bought him. And I've heard this from the coaches. But that all said, whether I want him or not, the guy's been just plagued with injuries. He's having to have surgery again. Matt, look, no one wants anything bad to happen to a Spurs player. No one wants anything bad to end the player's career. But do you think now, like, we're at a stage where get well soon, hope you recover, but we've got to move you on for your sake and for our sake because it's just not happening for you at Spurs. You've been here almost for 5 years and it's been nothing short of a disaster. It's not his fault. I don't blame him, but, you know, we're in the business of winning as much as we want to be human about it. I don't think him being at Spurs is helping anyone anymore, but let's help him get through this stage of recovery as well because, you know, we owe it to him, I guess, as his employer.
He's got a year left in the summer, right? On his contract. He's got another year left.
Yeah.
I just get this feeling that Ange likes him. I've just got this feeling that
he hasn't played. He hasn't seen him.
His comments about him and we're here to support him and he's had no luck and, you know, all he wants to do is play. This is the sport that he loves. I just get the feeling, and Ange retired at 27, 28 through injuries himself. I just get this feeling that he's going to give him the summer pre-season.
Right.
And then make a decision.
All right. I was going to say, the club aren't going to let him run down his contract because there's no value in that. And he's still young enough to be sold. So they need to make a decision this summer during the transfer window because if they're going to sell him, they need to sell him this summer. And if they're not going to sell him, Matt, they've got to give him a contract extension and he's got to agree to it. He's not going to say, yeah, 1 more year. He's going to want a 3-4 year deal. Are we seriously considering Sessegnon being offered a new 3-4 year deal? I'm struggling with this one.
No, I don't think 3 or 4 years. What I mean by this is, he's 30 million over 5 years, works at 5 million a year. So theoretically,
6 million. 6 million per year.
6 million a year. So theoretically, he's got 1 year left on his remaining contract. I would not be surprised if there's some sort of you see about these Troy Parrots, these 1 year rolling extensions. It wouldn't surprise me to protect the asset. Just think about it. If they sell him in the summer, they're going to get buttons. They're going to get buttons for him. So this could go 2 ways. They either get him fit and he has a pre-season and comes back to some sort of level of performance, and then a top championship club go, oh, maybe.
Yeah, but Matt, for that to happen, Sessegnon has to agree to that. Now, if I'm Sessegnon, age 23, I don't want my career on a 1 year extension. I want my career secured. So I want 3-4 year contract. I want to know guaranteed
I don't
wages
think
are
he's
coming
in.
for the next.
I don't think he's in that position still. I think.
So then he could speak to
I
his
don't think.
agent, find me a club that is prepared to give me that kind of a deal. And that's where I think this will end up going, because I don't see him agreeing to a 1-year deal.
Look, I think with just the brief post that he put, I think he realizes that he's getting a lot of abuse online, and I think all he wants to do is just be healthy, and then the rest will take care of itself. Whether that means that he's going to be a Premier League player, I'm not sure, but I just think he wants to be healthy. 1, 2, 3 years. I think that's. He'll get to that when he gets to it. The most important thing now is he wants to get his hamstrings operated on, get a clean bill of health, and get back running and being competitive. Whether that means that's back at a Crystal Palace or a Southampton, I think that's too far ahead. That's too far ahead for me. Let's just get him fit and let's see where he is.
I think we need to think about it, though, because the reason I knew that Harry Kane was going to leave in the summer, and I called it 3 months before, and people were arguing with me, was because I know Levy isn't just going to let money walk out the door. There's value in this player because of his age. He's not going to let Sessegnon just walk out. So this summer, it's going to come down to one of 3 things. Either he stays at Spurs, which means a new contract, and that contract won't be a rolling contract. It'll be 3-4 years. Otherwise, Sessegnon won't sign it. It'd be stupid to sign it. Or he is sold and we cash in whatever we can to a Crystal Palace, a Norwich, a Southampton, like you said. Or number 3, he runs down his own contract. But then there's no benefit for him to do that. That makes no sense. So either he gets a new 3-4 year deal or we sell him. I don't see it going any other way. And I just don't think the club can afford to give a player a new 3-year deal when his injury history is insane. Like and he's going to play Angeball, known for players getting injured. I think for his sake and for our sake, we should just get him fit and then move him on. I don't see a better way out of this, Matt.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think he's been absolutely. I think I saw stats something like in his.
By the way, no one should abuse him. Any online abuse is ridiculous. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah,
I don't get that. The guy's injured. It's not his fault. You know, he's been played with them. Whether he's good or not isn't the question. It's you're abusing a player because he's injured. That's just stupid.
Yeah, it's not intentional. I say let's see. Let's look at Sessegnon. Once the rehab has gone to plan, and make a judgment call. And
Matt, would you keep
medical in its current form? No. If he gets fit, I'm not sure.
I would sell him. For me, I would sell him regardless. I think he's just cursed at Spurs. It's not going to happen for him. I think he needs a new environment, a new space, and just. Anyway, this man, he's injured. He's out for 2 weeks, which I'll be honest with you, Matt. I know this is going to sound horrible. I'm actually not bothered because
you're relieved.
Matt, I watching him kills me.
I know.
Most importantly, my biggest worry was he would play against Aston Villa away the next game. I've shown everyone the record of Richarlison against the top 12 clubs. It's poor. Against the top 8, it's horrific. The thought of him playing against one of the top 8 teams away scares the hell out of me in terms of how it will affect us if we've got any chance at Villa away. Tomorrow's game was probably actually a good thing for him because against the bottom 8, he does really well. So I'm kind of contradicting myself here. Tomorrow is probably the perfect game for Richarlison, if I'm honest. But, Matt, he's out for 2 weeks. Is it the end of the world?
I'd rather him be on the bench as an option.
Fair enough.
I think Richarlison he's not the answer for Tottenham. I think that's fairly evident in the 2 seasons he's been at Spurs. But while he's in this period of scoring, he's an option for us. We don't know what Crystal Palace are going to look like tomorrow under this new manager. Under Hodgson, we knew it was going to be a low block and defend the box and play on percentages of free kicks and corners and throw-ins. I think they'll be a little bit more adventurous tomorrow. They're going to have that manager bounce as well. And obviously they're going to have Eze, Will Hughes. So they're going to have a few more legs in the team for tomorrow. I would still hope that we would have enough at home to beat them, but I said that against Wolves. But I think this will clear Son's mind. I think sometimes Son gets stuck between, am I left-sided or am I down the middle anymore? I think now he's got a run of games, the next 2 or 3 games where Richarlison is not fit. So I'm hoping it will just clear his mind. I actually think he's more suited for the Liverpool game, not because of his record against the top 6, but the Villa game, because Villa play quite a high line, and I think Son's running in behind.
Could you imagine Villa high line versus high line? You're gonna have 20. You're gonna have 22 players on the halfway line.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's going to be a hell of a game, but I think Son is more suited for that defense where he's got grass behind that he can run into, and hopefully with Maddison fit and a bit of space behind, he can look to thread him down the channels of the centre half, especially if Carlos is not fit, which I'm hoping Cons is out as well. If it's Torres and Longley, I think we could get some joy with their lack of pace. We're getting back to the Crystal Palace game. You'd like to say a win. I said this against Wolves and come back and beat me, but I still fancy us to beat Crystal Palace. If we should be beating Crystal Palace.
We'll get onto the prediction in a moment. I just wanted to get your thoughts on Richarlison being injured.
Yeah, listen, I know your opinion on him, and I know there's quite a few that online are kind of like, get him gone, but I still think he's an option for us, whether it's with half an hour to go, you can bring him on if Son tires or you need to change formation, but let's see. Yeah, I wouldn't say I was disappointed, but I just thought we have a lack of options up front at the moment. So that's another release is out on loan. So that's a problem. That's certainly a problem.
Why did we sign release? It makes no sense. These two, they missed the last game and we felt the pinch. Porro is out again. So that's a right back missing, and Udogie is 50-50. So let's go on the assumption that Porro's out. Well, not the assumption. Let's go on the fact that Porro's out. Do you start Dragusin? Do you go to a back 3? Do you play Dragusin in a back 4 and have him as the right back? Or do you start Emerson Royale? We won't decide what to do about Udogie missing because we don't know if he's missing it. It's 50-50. But let's go with the facts. We don't have a right back. Our first choice right back tomorrow.
Emerson Royale will play tomorrow. I wouldn't, just to caveat that.
What would you do, Matt? What would you do? Assuming Udogie's fit.
Udogie plays if he's fit. He's too important of a player.
So you can't go to a back 3 then? You're going to a back 4.
I'd be a liar if I've said I've seen Dragusin play at right back because I haven't. But looking at the comments here, 1 or 2 are suggesting Dragusin at right back. Have you seen him play right back, Dragusin?
No. I know he's played there for Genoa, but I'll be honest with you,
not...
Matt, I've barely seen Dragusin play. I'm not one of these.
I've seen him play centre half. I've seen him play centre half.
I've seen YouTube clips. Which means
I've seen
nothing.
him play. I've seen him play centre half, and he was first class. What would I do? I do not like Emerson Royal. I think you with Richarlison, I'm like that with Emerson Royal. I just think he's such a poor footballer. I don't know. Come back to me.
With a super chat. with a super chat says Dragusing at centre back, Romero to right back. I wouldn't do that because I think you've got to keep your best players in their best position. So, as Matt always says, if you've got one position to fill, why create two? And I agree with Matt on that. For me, I would start Dragusing, and I'll tell you why. One, I know Emerson Royal's not good, and two, if he does start Dragusing and it fails, at least then we can say he tried it. At least he tried something different, right? So you can't have a go at the manager then. But if he doesn't start Dragusing and Emerson's there and it costs us, all eyes will be on Ange. He will get the blame. Why have you spent £30 million on this player that never plays for us? What? He can only play centre-back. He can't ever play unless Romero Van der Ven are injured. This is ridiculous. And that's what's going to happen. So for me, just start Dragusing. Yeah. And do you know what? Yeah. If it's not working, Matt, Dragusing comes up at half-time, on comes Emerson, and then whatever happens, right? Yeah,
hopefully, that doesn't do too much damage to his confidence. But listening to the comments here, they seem to say that Dragusing can play at right back. So you could argue he cannot be any worse than Emerson Royal because in the park, you watch a couple and they've got their toddler in the park and they throw their toddler the ball, and the toddler's kind of really has to think about catch the ball, put it down, stand back, mum and dad. I'm now going to kick the ball to you. That's what Emerson Royal at times looks like on the ball. He looks like he really has to concentrate to get his body in position to control it. Then his brain switches to, right, I've controlled it. I now need to look for somebody in the Tottenham shirt. And by that time...
So you're telling me this. Yeah, when I ask you what to do about right back, you say to me, come back to me still. You really answered your own question, man.
I know. It's that's why I kind of said come back to me, because I was hoping my brain would kind of find a logical excuse to play Emerson Royal, but he's so bad. And look, teams know this. They spend a whole week in the training ground. They watch videos and they say, the moment it looks like it's going to Emerson Royal, dispossess him.
Right. Do you know, we give Emerson Royal too much time. Yeah. Please, let's start Dragusing. That's
I'm on the boat.
I'm pretty straightforward. I'd say just start. Yeah. He's a big Brazilian toddler. There you go. So, in terms of the actual game itself, Matt, and then after this, we'll go into the questions from everyone.
Sure.
I want to bring up the league table. I do want to bring up the league table. If I can find it. There it is. Now, last weekend, Aston Villa won, which puts them 5 points ahead of us.
Yeah.
But Man United, that defeat was unbelievable for us, because if we win tomorrow now, we've opened up a 5-point gap on them. I know they've got a game tomorrow. In fact, let's see, or this weekend. They play Man City. Oh my God. Oh, they should get. Right, okay. I expect them to get battered. So let's assume Man City get battered. Sorry, Man United get beaten.
Man U get battered.
We win. That's a 5-point gap on Man United plus a game in hand. It gives us breathing space. So for me, this is a must-win game. If we don't beat Crystal Palace, I do not believe we will get top 4. I don't, because you can't keep blowing chance after chance. Villa, they've got a tricky game. On Sunday, they're away to Luton Town. Sorry, tomorrow night, they're away to Luton Town. Now, we know that's not an easy place for teams to go. So potentially, that could be a draw. So if there's a scenario where we close, or let's say they lose. Let's say we close the gap to 2 points or 3 points. That sets up the visit of Tottenham to Villa Park the following weekend, which we know is going to be dynamite. Matt, we've got to win tomorrow against Palace, haven't we?
Yeah,
We've got to beat them.
Of course. And I think the 2-week layoff can go two ways. You can dwell on it and it can kind of consume you in your football, or you can want to right the wrong. And I'm hoping it's the latter. I'm hoping Maddison, who's not looked right since he's come back from his injury, Bentancur, Basuma, there's 3 or 4 players that are nowhere near at the level that they were before Christmas. So I'm hoping that we almost like we want to correct that last home result. So I'd like to think we put this one. And the one thing about Son is he normally is very clinical, and he's got a very good record against Crystal Palace as well. Very good record against them. So the omens are goals.
So for this game tomorrow, for me, last week when we had this chat, I told you I was worried about Wolves. I remember I said to you, I said, Matt, I'm worried about Wolves.
Yeah.
And I knew it. I never thought we'd lose. I think I predicted a draw. You predicted a win.
Yes.
This game, I fully, no ifs or buts, I fully expect Spurs to win. And I don't think it's going to be squeaky bum tight. I think we will win, and we will deserve to win as well. What I think will happen is this. I think they'll try and low block, but they don't have the counter-attacking setup of Wolves. We know Wolves on the counter. They're good. They've got the players that are good to do it. I don't think...
They're quick.
And they've got talent. I don't think with the injuries that Crystal Palace have got and a new manager being able to set them up like that is enough time to make them be like Wolves. So I think they'll try and low block us, but I think they'll also give it a bit of a go because their manager isn't the kind of manager that just comes and parks the bus. I don't think he's that kind of a guy. He'll give it a bit of a go. And I think we'll pick them off. And when we do, I think we'll go on and win. I think Spurs are going to win either 3-0 or 3-1. I do expect that to happen. I do. Crystal Palace's record at Spurs the last 17, 20 years is woeful. And I expect that to continue. I'm going for a Spurs win and for us to deserve it as well.
Yeah, I still, as much as I'd love to see a clean sheet, I still can't see us keeping a clean sheet, sadly. So I'm going to go with a 3-1 and a 82nd minute consolation goal from a corner for Crystal Palace. But yeah, I think even with the new manager bounce and Eze back and Will Hughes back.
That new manager bounce was against Burnley, bottom of the league, and Burnley went down to 10 men. So yeah, there's a bit of context on that. I don't think it would have been 3-0 under any other circumstance. So they've got a lot of injuries and they're to key players. I think Eze might be back. I think he might be back. I could be wrong.
Yeah, they said he's trained all week, so he's in contention.
All right, so he might be back. All right, guys. We are going to take your questions now. We've had a lot of questions on social media. What I'll do is I'll do the ones we've had on here first, and then I'll do the ones that we got on social media. So Ryan, he asks, Stel, do you prefer this football just to go to games if we win? Meh. If we don't, meh. Like I feel we're no disrespect to Brentford or Fulham right now, but that now where is just let me read this again. Do I prefer this type of football if we win? Like I feel like he feels like we're no disrespect to Brentford or Fulham right now. So he thinks we kind of play like them. Look, I'll be honest with you. It's not about being honest. I've said it multiple times. I'm bored of going to Spurs. I made a confession last week on the Monday show. I'm bored. I'm genuinely bored going to Spurs. I haven't enjoyed it for like 2 months. I don't find the football interesting. I haven't found our performances anything wow. And if you were to compare right now to last year's Conte, there's not much difference minus the toxicity. It's the same. Maybe we're a bit more attacking. But compared to the first 2-3 months, it's completely different. It's just been There's reasons for it: injuries, lost our flow, players underperforming, confidence. There's a number of factors for it. Do I believe in Ange? Yes. Do I believe the board will back him? I'm on the fence. Am I happy watching average football if we win? Yeah. If it gets silverware, yes, 100% I am. But am I enjoying these games at the moment? No. And we haven't been winning them all. We lost to Wolves. We lost to City in the Cup. We just about beat Brighton. That's where I'm at. Where are you at with it, Matt? I mean, I need to see some good performances because otherwise it's just this season's just becoming a bit of a much to nothing for me at the moment.
Yeah, so for me, the first 10 games was a breath of fresh air. Maybe that was a combination of how bad the season before finished, that we were just kind of hungry for any type of progressive football. So maybe we were over, the praise was overhyped, maybe. The theory is that by winning football matches, your confidence levels increase and your ability to kind of execute this risque football that Ange is asking us to play increases because, you know, momentum and the wind start to propel you forward. So the theory is by winning football matches, we should become better at executing what is asked of us. That's not happened because even though in the form guide we were third or fourth, I believe, but the football's still been quite stale. And I think that's been the contributing factors for that is we're having 3, 4, 5 players all coming back from injuries at the same time. So they're kind of, it's almost like a mini pre-season in the heat of a football match. And the Premier League doesn't wait for you, doesn't wait. The opposition don't wait for you. So there's no feeling sorry for Bentancur or Maddison or Basuma. You're straight back in. So I think they're trying to find their level at the same time. And because of this I'm going to say offensive football, even though we're not playing at the top of our game, but playing with fullbacks, almost playing as wingers, if it goes wrong, it's so noticeable. Whereas I think under Jose and Conte, because we were safety first, we left less gaps in defence. So we weren't played through as much because we were cautious first. So a player coming back from injury had less demands on him going forward. So he could almost ease himself into fitness by playing. Whereas under Ange, you're straight in. I want you to be up with the attackers when we've got the ball, and I want you back defending when we haven't got the ball. And that's been a tough ask. And Bentancur looks a little bit off it. Maddison looks a little bit off it. Basuma looks, his rhythm don't look right. And we're not in sync. We've got too many players finding their form at the same time. And that's the problem. I'm hoping that should all be corrected tomorrow. They're too good. We've got too many good footballers for it to continue. That's my belief.
We will see over time. We will see how good they are. Scott Barraza. I mentioned Londres Blanco previously. I know who they are. When I first started the channel, they were guests on the show. We did a show with Los Blancos. I know exactly who they are. They're a humble Argentinian-based channel. Yeah. Big up to the boys over there. They are interviewing Lo Celso right now in Spanish. Wow, amazing. They get English subs. Guys, if you know Spanish or you can activate the subs, go over to Los Blanco later on. Watch the video. They're doing an interview with Lo Celso. They're big Spurs fans, these guys. I remember they came on. We spoke about Ardiles and Ricky Villa. And I remember we spoke about Lo Celso with them as well. So go like and subscribe to Londres Blanco, which means the London Lily Whites in Spanish. We had another question here from Huddersfield Town FC. What approach do you expect Palace to bring to the table tomorrow? I think they're going to low block, but they're not going to low block as organised or as aggressively as Wolves did. Wolves were the best low block team that have come to Spurs this season. Their discipline to maintain it for a full 90 minutes and to keep the shape was excellent. Whereas Brentford and Brentford and Sheffield United did the same, but they lost their discipline. They pushed up and they allowed us to get in behind, and that's where we won the game. Had Sheffield and Brentford maintained that block, I think we were in trouble, but they didn't. Whereas Wolves, the discipline to stick to it plus injury time, listen, fair play to them. I don't think Crystal Palace are that team. I really don't. And that's why I really believe we will beat Crystal Palace. So I think they will try and low block, but they won't be able to pull it off as well. And they will at some point come for us. And that's where the goals will increase. So, Matt, do you agree or do you think?
Yeah, I think I don't know too much about the manager, but there's always that adaptation period.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
But they've been well drilled under Hodgson. So, Leopard changing its spots. I'm not sure how quickly they can rotate to a different style of football. So I still think they're going to be pretty similar. But they're losing some of their key ball carriers, almost like Spurs with Adoji and Basuma, with Elise and Eze. They're ball carriers and they get the team up the pitch. So when they soak up pressure, when Elise and Eze are fit and on their game, they can go from defence to attack in 3, 4, 5 seconds because of their ability to go past and break presses. We have that, or used to have that, with Basuma, who doesn't seem to be quite at it at the moment. But Basuma was so important for us early in the season because he could get the ball off Romero and Van der Ven on the half turn and accelerate past people. And that then created overloads, and that's why we look so pleasing on the eye. Since he's gone off the boil, we don't have a similar player at the moment that can take away that pressure. So it's very back into midfield, back to Romero, because we don't have that player that will just switch it and just go past the player. So Adoji's also so important for us because he's a ball carrier. He's different to Porro. Porro's a creator. Adoji's like almost in American football, a running back. He just gets the ball and he takes it into the opponent's half. And what that does, that attracts players to him. By attracting players to him, that allows Adoji to pop the ball off to players. It just unsettles the low block. So Adoji's so important. Basuma, they're so important for Spurs when they're playing well because they break systems. So important.
Yeah, the way we play, it's about getting those players further up the field to get the overloads. Hotspur says that by inverting, it becomes too congested. It'd be more beneficial to have wingers played wide and stretch your position whilst the fullback's inverted. The issue I've got with this is we don't have the players to do that because the wide players can't beat a man. I've said this time and time again. Brennan Johnson doesn't beat a man. Timo Werner doesn't beat a man. Brian Hill doesn't beat a man. The only one that does is Kulusevski, but then he's inconsistent. So you've got one player out wide that actually beats the man. Unless you play Richarlison down the middle and then Son out wide, but then that's a disaster because Son's better in the middle and Richarlison only scores against the weaker team. So, but he's injured anyway, it doesn't matter. We don't have enough wide players that can beat a man, which is why I'm actually hoping Solomon comes back soon because he can beat a man. And that's why I don't think that the wide play is any good at Spurs. They're not good enough for me. If you can't beat a man, you can't play out wide. I think Diaz beats a man. Salah beats a man. Foden beats a man. Saka beats a man. What do Timo and Brennan do? They've got pace. Great. Well, what if the space in behind his nephew you've got to beat the man?
I think how Ange is setting this up at the moment is by having these players that kind of upset the system. So when they surge past players and it attracts players to them, what I was mentioning is when Adoji or Basuma if you look at some of the creations that we made earlier in the game, look at the Arsenal game, when they break into the enemy's half and into the final third, when they pop the ball off wide, it's a one touch. If you look, the wide player gets it and fizzes it across one or two touches. So that's what Ange's trying to do, is he realizes that he doesn't have at the moment the wide players that are very good in a 1v1. So what he's doing is, by having inverted fullbacks, by creating overloads, by the time the wide player gets the ball, he's got one touch and then get it into the box. So that's what he's working on. The advancement of that is by having wide players, which I'm hoping in the next couple of transfer windows, who can do both, who can not only have a very good first time ball into the box, but also, like a Diaz, like a Kudos, these type of players that when they do get the ball in a one-on-one, they can go past their fullback. And that's what we're struggling to do. So it's almost like we've become a one-trick pony by our wide players. They get it wide and they fizz it in one or two touches. And good sides are learning to combat that.
Timo Werner crosses the ball in and tries to smash your kneecaps with the ball. It's not in the air for you to header. It's not on the ground so you can shoot or tap in. He smashes it at your knees.
If you look at the goal,
I just don't like our wide players. I don't think we've got good wide players. I don't rate them.
Who was the goal that Werner created for Brennan Johnson? Was that against Brentford at home?
No. Brennan Johnson created the pass for Timo Werner, and Timo Werner messed it up. Remember?
No, but the goal that Timo Werner created that was for Brennan Johnson, right? Second half. Remember when we scored 3 goals in 7 minutes? What game was that? That was Brentford, right?
Some scored against Brighton. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, but you see, Matt.
So if you look at that goal, that is.
No, you're right. I hear what you're saying. But the issue here is Timo Werner and Brennan Johnson are just like Richarlison. Against the bottom 8, Brennan Johnson's got assists, he's got goals, he's got everything. It's once you play the mid-table, like Chelsea, the Wolves, and then the top 8, Brennan Johnson goes missing, Timo goes missing, Richarlison goes missing. When you're playing against good teams, they get found out. Like tomorrow, I expect Brennan Johnson to score or get an assist because it's Crystal Palace. I expect him to. I fully expect, and everyone's going to see, oh, you see, be patient, give him a chance. Going to be like, no, you're talking out your ass. I'm not having it. Do it against Aston Villa away the next game, and then we'll talk. Matt, can you just take over just for 1 minute? I'll be back. I've just got to do something.
Sure. Yeah, in reference to STEL, I think Brennan Johnson was a signing that was potentially for the future. I don't think he was meant to play the amount of games that he's played, and that's been compounded by the injuries that we've had. In an ideal world, he comes into a squad that is settled, and you sprinkle him in half an hour here or there. He learns the system, he learns the style of how Tottenham play, and he slowly builds up his repertoire at Tottenham. The problem is he's coming to Tottenham and we've had injuries. I think he joined I think it was one of the last signings in the end of August, start of September, and then we had injuries. He didn't have many games, still, if my memory serves me right. He signed. We didn't start the season with Brennan Johnson, did we? His first game was against Sheffield United. He come off the bench. Yeah. So
yeah,
Brennan Johnson was a signing that was for the.
He started against Arsenal. He started against Arsenal. He missed 2 gilt-edged chances in front of goal, and then he went off injured, didn't he? By the way, Andy, you say Timo scored. He got an assist against Man United.
Yes, he did.
The mid-table and the top 8 are 12 teams. He's performed in one of those big games, right? Same as Richarlison. Richarlison got 2 goals against Newcastle. They're in the top 8. And he got, I think, 1 other goal, a header against Man United. So out of the 12 games against the top 8, the top 12, Richarlison has performed in 2 of those games. So if you look at Richarlison, Timo, and Brennan, they perform, and when I mean perform, I mean a goal or assist. They perform in 70% of the games against the bottom 8. Against the top 12, they perform goals and assists in less than 30% of those games. That is unacceptable for the level we want to achieve. That's your front three. It's not good enough. Only Son and Porro. Hyunmin, Son and Porro are the number 1 performers at Spurs for goals and assists against the top 12. Hands down, Son and Porro.
I firmly think that he was a player that was in the profile of player that Daniel Levy and Tottenham were looking at. I agree with some of the comments here that Spurs had been looking at him for about 2 or 3 years. But I also think that Ange looked at him and thought, I can use his asset. And his asset is he's got this remarkable pace. The frustration with Brendan Johnson is he needs a little bit more football education on where to use it, where he should be when we've got the ball, and where he should be when we haven't got the ball. And that's the period that is taking a little bit longer to pick up. But what Brendan Johnson's got that very few footballers at Tottenham have got is he's got that turn of speed. We've got a lot of footballers still that come to the ball. They want to come to the ball.
That means nothing
That's
if you haven't
fine.
got space to run into. You need space to run into.
That's fine. That's fine. But I think in your squad, you need options. And I do believe in some football matches where the team are coming at us. I read a stat the other day. Stella, I'll ask you a question. Home and away, where do you think we have the most possession? Do we have more possession at home, or do we have more possession away?
I've got no idea. You'd say home, but I'm guessing it's away. That's why you're saying it.
Okay, so exactly what I thought. We have the equal. It's unbelievable. We have 60% possession at home, and we've averaged this season 60% possession away from home. So, as an average, we have the ball 60% of the time, home or away. So, the theory behind Brendan Johnson is when teams are in the ascendancy and they've got the ball and they're pressing on and they're coming after us and there's grass behind, I think that's when Brendan Johnson could become an asset for Spurs. Now, I've listened to other shows where people says he's the wrong player for Tottenham because if you look at him at Forest, they played a low block and hit teams on the counter. Well, Brendan Johnson could be that counter for us in games where we are camped in and the team are on the ascendancy and there's grass and we pick their pocket and we can play him down the side. So that's what I mean by he's an option. That doesn't mean that he plays every football match and he plays in every 11, but I think he's a unique footballer. Is he worth 50 million? I would say no, but I understand the signing of Brendan Johnson because he's something we don't have. Barring Son, who can only limit his sprints, he's got electrifying pace.
Matt, I understand what you're saying. I disagree. I think he's an absolute waste of money, and I'm not budging on this. But I respectfully understand your view. I just think when you spend 50 million, you've got to be oven ready, and he isn't. Same with Richarlison, he isn't. And I just feel that we're doing it again where there's players at this club that we're going to try and give time and be patient to and repeat all the mistakes of the past. And then in 2 years' time, when Brendan Johnson proves he's a flop, oh, it's Ange's fault, Ange out. Well, where are all of you lot that said be patient? And the fan base will flip. It's comments like this. It's literally his first season here. It's not his first season in the Premier League. Udogi's first season is the Premier League. Van der Ven's first season in the Premier League, young players. How are they performing? But yet, with Brendan Johnson, he gets a pass. And then we don't have a big enough sample size. Yes, we do have a big enough sample size to judge the players. We've got what they've done at other clubs. We've got what they've done in the Premier League, like Brennan Johnson. Richarlison's stats against the top teams for Everton are exactly the same. He doesn't perform. The sample size is there. You're just trying to find the excuse. Look, if Brennan Johnson's really good next season, I will eat humble pie. I will donate a shirt to charity that Matt wants. There you go. I'm gonna write down, because Matt has already said today, if Timo signs, he's going to donate a Spurs shirt to charity on this channel permanently. So I'm going to say, if Brennan comes good, Stelios will donate a shirt to charity. Right? There we go. So you can all hold us both to account. I want to take some. Go on, Matt.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I've only got 15 minutes left, so I want to do the questions we've had online, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. We'll do that another time. Go for it.
All right, cool. So we had plenty of questions online. You probably can't read them. So what I'll do, I'll just read them out rather than have them on the screen, and I'll just pick up the people that sent them. So we've got a question from Anthony Mitten, who said, your thoughts on our youngsters? Liverpool are breeding them well. I saw the highlights of Donnelly and Santiago the other day and can't understand why they're not getting a chance. And yet we have to put up with Werner and Johnson. So I guess he doesn't like Johnson or Werner either. Adogi is not 22 years old, mate. Stop it. Stop the nonsense, right? You're clutching. Liverpool, what I would say, though, Klopp didn't breed them in well. He was forced to play them. The injuries forced him to play the kids. So a bit of let's be a bit balanced here. If Liverpool's first team players were fit, these youngsters aren't playing, right? But having said that, the way he's managing the situation is excellent. You got to hats off to him in the academy. The way this is being managed is superb. What do you make of the youngsters, Matt? Do you see them getting a chance at Spurs, or is it a case of, look, if we're building a title-winning squad, supposedly, we can't really give these kids a chance? I guess the time to do it is when you're on your knees. Liverpool are on their knees in that cup final. We're not on our knees, or are we? Or are we on our knees, Matt?
For me, I think I'm measuring Ange on his first 8-9 months at Tottenham. And if you measure Klopp in his first 8-9 months, he did pretty similar to Ange in regards to he picked his tried and trusted players. He didn't delve into the youth team. He didn't pick any 19 or 20-year-olds. He joined in, I think it was he replaced Brendan Rodgers in the September, October, and they finished 8th that season. So I think, again, it's about context. I think people just need to remember that Klopp's been at Liverpool since 2015. So that's 9 years that he's been able to recruit, put his recommendations into the youth setup of the type of player that he wants to come through. So when they get to 18, 19, 20, there's been a 9 years worth of development on these are the type of stylistics in player I need to be implemented into the first team. So I get the question, but I think, look, he's been here 2 minutes and, we have this tendency to look at Liverpool and look what they're doing at Man City. Why can't we do that? Well, they've got 8, 9, 10 years worth of work. He's been here 8 months. So just let him figure it out. He's, from what I understand, working in the background on this is why he's signing some ready-made youngsters like the kid from Sweden that can kind of be fast-tracked into the first team for next season. And I'm hearing good things about Donnelly and 1 or 2 others. So let's judge him in another year's time and see if is a requirement to play some of these youngsters. If he still does not play them, then I can get the question a little bit more accurately. But I think it's too soon. It's too soon to ask him to play some of these youngsters.
So I spoke to the academy last week, and I don't know if you're going to like what I'm going to say. It's a bit weird what they've said. I think they've lost the plot.
Go for it.
The coaches at Spurs, the ones I've spoken to, think some of these players are ready to be given a chance. The academy director, Simon Davies, who I rate highly, by the way, he doesn't think they're quite ready. Ange 100% doesn't think they're ready. Okay. Having said that, how do you know if a player's ready until you give them a chance? You don't, right? And this is the thing with youth football. Unless the youngsters get put in the moment, you don't know. Yeah. You don't. Was Harry Kane ready? We had no choice. Adebayor was a mercenary. Soldado was misfiring. There was no other choice. Harry Kane came in, took his chance, and there you go. The club wanted to sell him. Don't forget, Daniel Levy wanted to sell him to Leicester. It was Tim Sewell that said, no, don't sell him. What are you doing? So one person saw the ability. There are people at Spurs that see the ability in these youngsters, but if above doesn't see it, then what? And that's the situation we're in. And the other issue, and this is what I've been told, guys, don't have a go at me. I'm just sharing with you what I get told, because I get to go to Spurs, the academy, and I get to speak to people there. They really think they're going to mount a title charge, like next season. And betting in the youngsters is super hard. Now, I think they've lost the plot, right? I spoke to a couple of people, the regulars I speak to, they think this is a bit far-fetched, but that's where Ange wants to take it next season. I think he's seriously underestimating this league. Or we're in for a massive shock as Spurs fans. We're going to be blown away by the best summer transfer window ever. But with Europe being in the cups and mounting a league title, I don't know, it took Fergie 4 years. It took Klopp 5 years. Arteta's in his 4th year. He still hasn't done it. If we're going to do it in 2 years, I'll be shocked. I'll be absolutely stunned, even to genuinely be in the race. But if this is what's going to happen, Matt, I don't see any of these youngsters breaking through.
I'll answer it this way. So Ashley Phillips is 18 years of age. If Ashley Phillips had played for Tottenham in the injury crisis and struggled, yes, the fans might have said, well, we're going to give him a little bit more leeway because he's young and whatever else. But if results had dipped, like they did, results dipped after the injury crisis, would that have dampened his confidence? And then we send him out on loan in January, as opposed to him going out on loan and learning men's football in the Championship with Plymouth and developing to becoming a prospect for Spurs, if not next season, the season after. So I understand the logic of not throwing Ashley Phillips in at 18 in the system that Ange requires. And I think that's the key message.
What's Liverpool's system? Is Liverpool's system not energetic, front foot, attacking?
It's slightly different. It is slightly different to.
All right, let's say you're right about the defenders. What about the midfielders and the strikers?
Let me cast. Like who? What
Santiago, Donnelly. More's probably a bit too young. Dane Scarlett, even Veliz. What about the ones we signed? Yeah. Veliz. What about the ones we signed?
Yeah, he's the one I thought should have got more minutes. Veliz. I think it was crying out for him to get more minutes at the time. But cast your mind back to Liverpool. Do you remember when Van Dijk got injured, done his cruise shirt? Matip was injured. What did he do? What did Klopp do? Cast your mind back.
When Matip got injured.
I'll tell you what he did. He put Matip got injured. Van Dijk got injured. Let me tell you what Klopp did. He put Jordan Henderson and Fabinho. Fabinho and Jordan Henderson played at centre half. He didn't bring an 18-year-old in. He didn't bring a 19-year-old in. He played midfielders at centre half. That's the season where they struggled. Do you remember? So I think we just got to have a context in when we're evaluating our youngsters and Ange. If you go across the other teams, they do pretty similar. Very few, especially at centre half, bring in a 17, 18 and 19-year-old in the Premier League. Think about it. Not many do. If they do, they put him alongside of Van Dijk, somebody with experience. We didn't have any experience.
You make sense, Matt. But there's other youngsters at this club. I personally believe the academy is just a scam. They're not going to bring through these youngsters. They're not interested. They could have done. There's chances to do it. There's been moments this season where we could have done it, and we just haven't.
What I will say is some of the games where we've been winning comfortably and Phillips was on the bench, you could have put him on with 15 minutes to go to get some sort of a taste of what it's like to play in the Premier League. I would agree with that, but I think the game after the Chelsea game was Wolves away. I think that would have been a baptism of fire to put Phillips in away from home against Wolves. I think that could have been more damaging than good.
Let's take another question. This one is from... Okay, verbatim. You're asking about Harry Kane coming back. We already answered that one earlier. We both said yes, we would. Duncan Dumbledore. Oh, he's a funny guy, this one. What type of ownership would you guys like to see succeed Enoch? Are you morally inclined such against state ownership, or would you prefer a born-bred English core like Ratcliffe? For me, I'm not bothered as long as they put football as the priority of the club, and they have, as much as people hated Abramovich, it meant everything to him to win silverware. It meant everything for him to be number one every year. And it meant everything for him to make Chelsea the best. That's what I want. Whether they do it the Abramovich way or not, listen, it don't bother me. But when I can see football as number one and football is the conversation, not Lady Gaga, Beyonce, F1, FFP kings, profit and sustainability kings. Oh, give Brennan Johnson time. This shit. It ends where we win nothing every year, and then another project, and I just want an owner that says, I want Tottenham to be number one, and within 3 to 5 years, we are winning the Premier League. They make a big, bold statement, and they go for it. Our owners have never done anything close to that. Nothing. I don't want the lies. I want the lies to go away. So for me, yeah, whether it's an Arab, a Russian, a Jew, a Greek, a Buddhist, I don't care. I just want Tottenham Hotspur, the football team, to be the centerpiece and that to be the conversation. And everything else around it is second fiddle. And that's not what I see at Spurs. It's not what I've seen for a quarter of a century. So maybe I'm asking for too much, Matt. Maybe I'm asking for too much.
Yeah, I think how football clubs are governed, how football clubs are run is different now to when Abramovich took charge of Chelsea. So we're never going to see that again. What he did and how he did it, that's never going to happen again. Now, the trophy cabinets obviously tell a different story because it just shows Chelsea being successful. But that operation has now been, is for the history books. That will never happen again. And the closest thing to somebody trying to do it again is Todd Bowley. Unfortunately, that hasn't quite worked out as well. So my question would be that whoever takes charge of Tottenham, and I have a saying, when you get to the pearly gates, you know, there's a certain thing you have to do to get past those gates. And so far under Daniel Levy, he refuses to do it. He'll get us so far, and then when we're at that final hurdle, he'll backtrack. So for every Sadio Mane, there's a Sissoko. For every Kim Min-jae, there's a Rodon. So he will always go for the cheap option to satisfy Championship Defender of the Year. He'll justify it that way, as opposed to we need Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane was having a medical at Tottenham. Pochettino had him for one season at Southampton and said, I can get him. He wants to come. We piddle about on the structure of the deal. Liverpool get wind of it, who were nowhere near Sadio Mane. Liverpool get wind of it. 35 million on the table. Deal's done in 24 hours.
Matt,
we end up the same transfer window style, spending 30 million on Sissoko. The same transfer window.
That's exactly what I mean. You got Kane, you got Son, you got Ericsson, you got Alderweireld, and you bring in Sissoko. That's what has to stop at this club. That's how I look at Brennan Johnson and Timo Werner. Like, what have you done? That's how I look at Emerson Royale still being here. You see, Liverpool, I've got no issue with Liverpool's owners, FSG, right? Because at least with them, football is number one, right? Football is the priority. And they showed it. They got close and they said, you know what? We need to do something big. They sold Coutinho, who we know was a good player for them, but they calculated it and they said, do we have enough assists and goals in this team? Yeah, we do. If we sell him, do we then raise the money to buy Alisson and Van Dijk? Yes, we do. Right, let's do it. But that's the kind of, we're putting football first. We're not going to sell Coutinho for 150 and then do what Spurs did with the Gareth Bale money. Or do what Spurs did with the £100 million we got for Kane. What have we done with that Kane money? Right? They sold Coutinho and it went straight back into two elite players. That's the kind of owner I want. Football comes first. We understand what the club is about. I guess as well, though, our owners get away with it because the fans allow them to as well, Matt. The fans accept it, I guess.
Look,
fans tolerate it.
It's down to DNA. It's down to culture. The owners of Chelsea, Roman, it was clear. We're here to win. We're not here to come second. We're not here to win the fair league award. We're not here to win the Recycle Company of the Year award. We're
manager
to
of the
win.
month, manager of the year.
We're not here for that. We are here to win. And that quickly trickled through the corridors of Chelsea. It went through the coaching team. It went through the administration team. It went through the playing staff. It went through the youth. It went through the fan base. Chelsea overnight became this winning machine because it came from above. Tottenham is built to be competitive, to have a multi-income stream. That's what Tottenham's built for. Every time we get flirting towards silverware, Levy will go and buy a Sissoko and then laugh that I saved 5 million. That's how he's always looking to save. Sometimes you've just got to spend. Sometimes. And that's our problem.
Got another question here from NAWHL. It appears from the general trend of the age of player purchases, since the summer of 2023, Spurs are hoping to build a squad team for sustained success improvement for the long term, rather than aiming for a quick fix in winning one of the domestic cups. Does the panel agree to this approach, especially given the calls from some fans for quick instant success? Right. I've got two answers for this, and then I'll put it to Matt. Number one, it's been 24 years of this ownership. We're coming up to a quarter of a century. So no, I do not believe in the approach. They've had more time. They've had double the amount of time the Liverpool owners have had, and Liverpool owners have won everything. They've had more than double the amount of time the new Leicester owners had, and Leicester won the FA Cup and the Premier League. Stan Kroenke has only been in charge of Arsenal for, properly, I am the owner, for 5 years. And in 5 years, they've won an FA Cup and they're now title contenders. So for me, I don't agree to this approach because it's another project, another plan, another let's just spoon feed what makes fans happy. And I'll go back to a video that let me play you a video. This is Daniel Levy in the summer when he spoke to fans. And listen to all the whooping at the end.
Simple. We've got our Tottenham back. That's
We've got our Tottenham back. Who took it away from us? Who took it away from us? It was him. You know, he's getting praised for fixing his own mess, and we haven't fixed it. So, look, I get where you're going from. It does take time, and this is going to take time. But for me, Matt, they have zero credit in the bank with me. None. I hold them accountable at every step, non-stop, and I publicly say it, and I make noise about it. And if it wasn't for all the leave you out protesters, and if it wasn't for all us people that got abused and hated, you wouldn't see the changes you see now. We started that, and then it spiraled into the stadium and it grew. And then you had Change for Tottenham, and then you had all the other channels that have laughed at us. Now they all started talking about it because they'd become irrelevant if they didn't talk about it. We forced these changes you're seeing. So do I agree in this approach? No, I don't agree in this approach. I think this can be done quicker, and it should be, because we've got the money to do it. But I don't think it happens in one season. That I don't believe in. I think it does take 2 or 3 years. But this building up a young squad for the long term, listen, this is the long term. Like, it's been 24 years, Matt. I mean, how many more years? What are we waiting? It's like that saying, one for the future. We've bought this one for the future. When does that future come? Like, what point in the future? So I do see what he's saying, though, because this approach is about installing a new way. But freaking hell, man, I don't trust it. Until I see it, I don't trust it.
I've said before that we're dining at a certain table, so it requires a certain level of player. We're no longer paying for this new stadium. We're no longer ground sharing at Wembley. We're in our stadium. We're now playing and attacking. We've now got an offensive manager. To have an attacking offensive manager, he needs the tools to become more potent. The problem for Ange at the moment is when we do get into the final third, we're not executing the final ball. We're not executing the final shot. So it's allowing the back door open, which is why games are staying on double jeopardy to the last minute of injury time, because we're not killing teams off. So in order to kill teams off, he needs the players that when we get 2 or 3 looks at the goal, it's a goal. In order to do that, give him the players to finish teams off. Then we won't be talking about a number 6. Then we won't be talking about we need another defender, because we'll be 3-0 up with 65 minutes played, because the level of potency will make us very dangerous. At the moment, we are powder puff. We're not killing games off. So I am in the camp of when we get to the summer transfer window, I am pretty sure the recruitment team have a list of players that I'm quietly confident will make us a very dangerous football team next season.
I'm going to wait for the summer, like I've been saying for many shows, and then we will see.
Let's do a show September.
Matt, there's going to be loads of shows in that transfer window. I can tell you now already. There's going to be plenty of action. This one comes from Matthew Manita. Is Neto the right option for how much he is, or do you think it's worth spending some extra money to get a better winger than him? Matt?
Neto's a good footballer. So the question is, would Neto improve Tottenham Hotspur? Of course he would. The challenge with Neto is in 168 games, he missed 85. That's his ratio at Wolves. So he misses a lot of football matches. If he was at Man City, fantastic, because they've just got a conveyor belt of attacking options. The problem for Tottenham he would probably be our record signing. If we do go for him, he'll be our record signing because he's going to be north of 60 million. So a lot of our eggs will be in one basket with Neto. So I am leaning towards, again, the recruitment team looking for that profile of player with less injuries and less money. But I would still like Neto.
I would 100% take Neto, but the injury issue is a concern. But then if he only plays 50% of the season, but he performs in that 50%, that's more than what we're seeing from certain players that play in the attacking phases of our team anyway. So but it's whether or not you want to spend that kind of money for 50% of the season. I mean, we're doing it with Maddison. We paid 40 odd million for a player that plays 50% of the season. So I don't know.
But that compounds the problem. That compounds the problem because, again, it resorts back to Stel.
Well, Maddison can play the first half of the season and Neto can play the second half.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If it was Man City, it doesn't matter because they've got a conveyor belt. If Doku's out for 6 weeks, who cares? You know, they've got a conveyor belt. At Tottenham, until things changes, we sign Neto and then the attacking options, that book's closed. We're no longer looking for attackers. Matt, Tottenham need to do is, if they do get Neto, go and get Nusa as well. That's what I'd like.
Let me interrupt you. Graham says Jared Bowen, right? Would you take Jared Bowen or Neto?
Neto's a better player, but Jared Bowen plays for more football matches, and I would guess the history with West Ham and Tottenham, they would ask for a king's ransom. So they're probably going to be a similar amount of money. So I'd probably go for Jared Bowen.
For me, it's Jared Bowen all day long. He's playing in a rubbish team.
Yep.
Let him come to Spurs and play under Ange. That's exactly, I think, for me, I'd take Bowen over... everyone's saying Bowen as well. Look, I think we all agree, Spurs fans, would take Jared Bowen over Neto.
I just think Neto's more... He's just explosive. He's an explosive footballer.
He's a good player.
But I think Bowen is battle-hardened. He's battle-hard. Bowen, he's like Kulusevski. They very rarely get injured.
Paqueta, there's lots of players. Paqueta, there's Kvaratskhelia. But the thing is, the question was about Neto. So we're talking about Neto. Right, Mark Cook, he says, morning, Matt and Stel. Your thoughts on Van der Ven. Will he stay or will someone come along and Neil McNab him? Great content as always. I think it's pretty simple. If we don't win trophies in the next 2-3 years, I think someone will come in and put a ridiculously big offer on the table and he'll be gone. Just like Bale, Berbatov, Carrick, he'll be one of those for me. I don't think he'll stick around. He'll be with us for a couple of years. But if 2, 3, 4 years' time, if we're not winning silverware, he's gone. And someone will offer us 90, 100 million because he looks like becoming an absolute colossal defender. Like a superstar defender. You can see it in the making, man. What do you think, Matt?
I think it's on Tottenham. It's on Tottenham. Tottenham have to be competitive. If Tottenham aren't competitive, then... But the only time I want Daniel Levy involved in Tottenham is selling a player because you can guarantee you we will get the last penny that's available. But I would, again, that's 3 or 4 years down the road. For me, we've got far
Let me
pressing.
Let me present to you. Maguire, Varane, Johnny Evans, they're all 30s or thereabouts. Van Dijk, I looked at the other Liverpool centre-backs, 30s. The centre-backs at Man City, there's a couple of ageing ones there as well. The big clubs will be looking for centre-backs. We've got one of the best in the league. They have got the financial power to come in and break us. right? We know that loyalty means nothing in football. If a player wants out, they're out. Unless the club forces them to stay. But then we saw what happened with Harry Kane. He downed tools under Nuno. So I think, yes, while Spurs have some control, so do players. And you don't want trouble at the club because it destabilizes the team. I really think we need to be winning silverware to keep
he
our
signed a
best players.
6-year deal, right?
Because we've got that reputation, man. We've got that reputation of not winning trophies. The rep is there. Players know the rep.
Yeah, I generally, he signed a 6-year deal. It would not surprise me at some stage over the next year if he gets a improved contract. I just think he's one of our last worries. I think Levy will protect his asset. I think he will go for an extension, improved deal like a Doji, and I think they'll move those years further down the road. So it'll end up in being on like an 8-year deal. So yeah,
you're not allowed to do those, Matt. You're not allowed to do those anymore. The maximum you're allowed now is 5 years. They've changed the rules because of what Chelsea did.
Right. So, but he sign a 6-year though? He signed a 5-year with an option of a 1 year.
Yeah. So
what I'm saying is, I would imagine
the rules were changed after the summer when Chelsea did what they did. They changed the rules, but 1 year's optional, so it's not conditional.
Okay. So yeah, I can't see a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, a Bayern Munich having the money. Firstly, in the next couple of years, and number two, I can't see Daniel Levy wanting to do business with a club in the Premier League. So,
but if Van der Ven hands in a transfer request, if Van der Ven says, "Listen, I'm done. No, not for me," then what? You got a player that doesn't want to be at the club, and he's made it public. Then what?
Yeah, I would say that's at least 3 years away.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's the next couple of years. I agree with you. That's the bit I agree. The next couple of years, I think he stays at Spurs. But after that, if this project isn't showing rewards, I think it's not just him. I think there'll be more than just him that will be looking. Adogi, we're going to struggle to keep Adogi.
Vicario, another year. If Vicario continues in that trajectory, why wouldn't a Juventus or Inter Milan come knocking on his door in a year's time? So look, we are where we are, and it's up to Tottenham Hotspur, Daniel Levy, and Big Ange to get us over the line.
Got another question here from Zane. You done know the man. Okay, you're asking about Harry Kane. We've already done that one earlier, buddy. So on to the International Observer. Are Spurs a football club or a business that dabbles in football? Right, International Observer, you know what I think on this because you messaged me online and I've told you what I think. Matt, for people that don't know, I don't think Spurs are a football club. I think we're just a business. I think football is this smokescreen that we currently use. But I'm happy to have my mind changed. I think this summer will change or make me feel the same about how I feel. But that's just me. Look, football in general is a business.
I think
all football is a business, right? Every football club is a business. But some have got a balance between business and football. Some are too much football and they neglect the business and it goes to shit. And others are way too much business, not enough football. I think Spurs are more business and not enough football. I think we've gone too corporate. That's my view.
Yeah. And I think that's caused the toxic situation that we ended up with in the summer, with just the neglect of the playing squad and neglect of the true feelings of the fans being ignored. That festered and it ended up being like an Armageddon moment with the end of last season. So I think one thing Levy's not is he's not stupid. And I'm not a fan of him, but he's not stupid. He must know the fan base are still kind of against him. So I think he has to follow through on what he started in the summer. He has to. How many players do we need still? Let me try and answer it this way. How many players do you think we need?
Yeah, we did this last week. If we just want to stay where we are, assuming we've got European football, so from 42 games, we're going to go to over 50 games plus the cup competitions, 55, maybe 60 games. I think we need 6 or 7 players just to maintain what we're doing now. So no upward trend, but no drop off, just to do what we're doing now. If we want to push on and really be serious and win trophies, I think we need between 10 to 12 players. I could count right now 14 players that need to be out of Spurs, Matt. I could give you 14 players that need to be out if we're serious.
Okay.
So that's 2 summer windows for me to go. So we're not going to get 12 players in one window. So 6 this summer, then 6 the next. So and I'm being realistic about it. It's not what I want to happen, but I'm being realistic. If we're going to do what I think we need to do, we need another 2 summer windows.
Yeah, look, I think I've said before, I think we will bring in 6 to 7 players that can go straight into the team. That's what I think we're going to do in the summer.
Well, if they're good enough,
Firmly
then that's what we need to do. We've got a super chat here from Connor, CMO Sports. I'll be on his channel at 8 p.m, guys. In fact, I need to put a link up. I will put a link up, don't worry. I know one man who's unhappy with Dyer leaving. Must be Harry Kane. Oh, Elias. Oh, God, Elias. Elias loves Eric Dyer. Big up to Connor. There was another question here from Scott Barraza. Opinion on Bill Nicholson's statue and gates. Has something been said that we're going to do? Or are you asking us if we would want it?
Yeah. Yeah, the rumor is that that's going to be installed.
Well, about fucking time, Matt. I mean, this is the minimum we should be doing. If let's see, this is weird, right? This is weird. Oh, Ali Gold said it. Okay, thank you, Scott. Big up. So, for me, see, this is what I don't like. This is what I don't like about Spurs right now. Are they doing that because they're genuinely listening to fans and they're genuinely conducting proper surveys and saying, what do you want? How can we make this better for you? Or is it just a case of shut them up? Just shut this lot up. Don't give them any ammunition to hit us with. If they're genuinely listening to fans, then fair play. I'm all for it. I'm all for it, guys. I want statues of Keith Berkhamshaw, Bill Nick. I want statues of Jimmy Greaves. You know, I want to go to Spurs, Glenn Hoddle. I want to go to Spurs and say, I'm at a football club. I'm at a freaking football club. If they're doing it for the right reasons, I'm all for it, Scott. If they're doing it out of guilt or because they just want to shut us up, I don't want it. I don't want it because putting statues outside the stadium needs to be reflected in how we conduct ourselves on the pitch. So if you're going to embody these statues, deliver a winning team that justifies Keith Berkhamshaw and justifies Bill Nick, don't just put statues there. So when people come to our stadium, they say, who are these people? They're the last managers to be the most successful at Spurs. They're legends. Show that on the pitch as well, so those statues continue the history. You know, we should be thinking, we've just put the statue of Bill Nick there. There's Keith Berkhamshaw. We want Ange Postecoglou here as well. Build it. Then I'm all for it, Matt. If it's not, I couldn't care less. It's just another happy clapping. Yay! Look what Levy's so great. Can you see what I mean?
100%. I think he definitely was affected by the criticism in the stadium and online, and that resulted in him, you know, making the changes that he made in the summer and the recruitment that he made off the pitch and on the pitch. But I've got a 10% fear that he's going to go, you know, finish 4th or 5th, got away with that. instead of going, right, that's the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum. How do we kick on? Right, where are we short? Okay, who do we need? That's what I want to see happen next. So if Postecoglou points at Jimenez, for example. By the way, still, I watched him the last couple of games. I'm not sure. Santi Jimenez. Have you watched him recently for Feyenoord?
I'll be honest with you. I haven't watched much football recently. I've just been so busy. I've actually been watching more football in the Championship. There's some really good teams in the Championship right now. I mean, I enjoy watching Leeds. I enjoy watching Leicester City. By the way, Harry Winks is on fire for Leicester City. Funny what happens when you don't play him in the holding mid, which I said stop doing. But some people say it's just because he's a Championship player. And also, Southampton are a banging team. Southampton should have beat Liverpool the other night. I'm telling you, they should have beat Liverpool. They're a quality team. I actually enjoy Championship football right now. So now my answer is no, Matt.
Got some good young managers.
Yeah. There's some good.
So having him, do you know who it reminds me of? It reminds me of a poor man's Berbatov. He's got that casual slouchiness about him. He's a technically very good footballer. I'm just not sure if he'd get bullied. That's my only question mark. Would he get bullied in the Premier League? I'm not sure.
See, I like him as a player. I do like him as a player, but
great player.
See,
just not sure if he'd get bullied.
Matt, I'd rather take a punt on someone like that than Timo's and Brennan's and Brian Gill. Brian Gill cost us £50 million for Brian Gill. We gave them Lamella, who was worth 20 million. We paid another 30 for Brian. It is crazy, man. I'd rather go take a punt on a Jimenez. And
I agree.
At least there's something about him. I mean, Stel, do you watch League One? Rarely, if I'm honest with you, Daniela. Sorry. All right, Matt, I think we're going to wrap it up there. We've gone over. I only wanted to do an hour and a half. It's been 2 hours and 15. I mean, you start talking football, you don't stop.
Sorry, buddy.
Listen. I enjoy it. I enjoy these shows. I always have a good time. Everyone watching tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. we go live for our late night show. Spurs versus Crystal Palace. We'll be live at 9:30 p.m. I'll be at the game, so I'll do my halftime and post-match reaction. I'm sure Iggy will have some kind of video going out. Matt, if he's free, will jump on that show as well tomorrow night. Always a good show. The post-match shows. You got to come and be a part of it, especially if we win. Although when we lose, we get more views. It just goes to show that toxicity sells on YouTube. Toxicity sells.
Of course.
Big thank you to Dio. Make sure you send me that email, Dio. A user, big up, and CMO Sports, all for your super chats. Everyone who participated tonight, thank you all. We'll be live again next week at 5 p.m. on a Friday. Get your questions in when I put the message up on the community board on YouTube. Other than that, it's good night from me. Come on, you Spurs. I think we'll win. And I'll let Matt have the last word and finish off the show.
Listen, thanks for the show. Thanks for all the contributions online. I'm hoping for a Spurs win. I think it'll be 3-1. Just looking forward to positive attacking. And I'm looking for Son to get back on the score sheet. So positive result. Hoping to jump on tomorrow night. Anybody who hasn't, please like, subscribe. And even if you think you have, do it again just to make sure. And see you next week.
Come on, the Spurs. Come on, the Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.